there were some other leaks, and these are both in the game files, and they were also hinted at in the trailer. Number 1 is the Galil assault rifle. Likely released. This will likely be released at the Season 4 launch. Because when Season 3 launched, we got 2 weapons right away in the Battle Pass stream, which were the...
Yeah, Blood said it.
Oh, SKS. Got it. And Renetti? Really? Okay, whatever. Either way, there were 2 weapons that were in the battle stream tier thing, whatever the fuck, when Season 3 launched. And I think the same is true for Season 2. And maybe Season 1. So Season 4 is probably going to be the same. And one of those 2 weapons is likely going to be the Galil assault rifle. And this was developed by Israel, as New Hampshire Gunslinger inartfully put it in the Twitch chat, which I will not be reading aloud. But it was developed by the IDF in real life. And it'll probably come out at the launch of Season 4. One of the things, or a couple of the things that are interesting about this, this was known as the Grav in Black Ops 4. And it's been in other Call of Duty games besides BO4. A couple interesting data points I took from this. Number 1, it's going to be 7.62 ammo as opposed to 5.56. That's a higher caliber bullet, so it does more damage in this game. Other things that are 7.62 that are ARs in this game are, I think, the Scar, the Odin, and the AK. So I would expect this to have the damage profile of probably the AK. So based on the 7.62 ammo alone, Tanner, how good do you think this gun will be?
Well, I mean, you pretty much said it, basically. It's going to be a hard hitting, but it'll be it'll have a very low fire rate. So, Elk pretty much just said it perfectly in chat. He said it's the poor man's AK. So that's what it's going to be. That's basically what it is in real life. In this game, I don't even expect it to be as good as the AK, really. So it's going to be horrible. It's another weapon we can use.
You think it's going to be worse than the AK?
I do. I do.
Interesting. Super interesting.
Yeah. So,
super fucking interesting.
It's always good to have good weapons. I mean, new weapons in the game, but
true.
You know, there's already a few fantastic assault rifles. I don't see any of the other ones being added in ever having the ability to take over those ARs. So,
well, let me rebuke your point by asking you, what is the best assault rifle in the game right now?
The M13.
No. Try again.
The M4?
No.
It's the M4, dude.
It's the Growl, which was added after launch.
Okay. Well, the Galil is 7.62. It's going to have a very low fire rate. It's not going to be good.
Look, I don't know. Here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's going to be like the best gun in the game like the Growl is. But I'm hoping that it is an actually decent or even good 7.62 AR in this game. Now, no such AR exists yet, but this is a whole new gun. And it would be nice if it was top tier because it would at least shake up the AR meta. And even if it didn't, it would be able to occupy a different niche than any gun currently fills right now. Because like the Odin hits really hard, but it has too low of a fire rate. Scar hits really hard, but it has limited magazine capacity and doesn't handle super well. So I'm just curious what kind of attachments are going to be on this gun and what the base stats are going to be like, because I would love to have a viable 7.62 option in this game, because right now there just doesn't exist one. The AK in particular is such a fucking massive disappointment in this game. It's so bad. And the reason that's such a travesty is that it sounds and feels so good. It just feels like a fucking Kalashnikov, dude. Let's just bang it out, dude. Like a brave mujahideen just fucking shooting down the Russians. in the 80s.
Jesus.
In the fucking balls deep in the Middle East, dude. That's the feeling I get. But unfortunately, it's garbage. It's garbage in this game. So hopefully this will be a good alternative. It's also going to have a 10-round mag, similar to the M4's SOCOM rounds, which also come in a 10-round magazine. And the way they balance the SOCOM rounds are, it does a fuck ton of damage, but it has like a slower fire rate. And again, it's only a 10-round magazine. Do not expect that to be good. There's almost no way that that's actually going to be good. But it's another interesting little point to keep in mind. All right, let's move on here. So the next weapon in the files that is likely going to be released in the Battle Pass stream on release day, and this one everyone's clamoring for, which I am in agreement with, is a fan favorite in the Call of Duty franchise, the Vector SMG. I think it's the Chris Vector. For you fucking gun nerds in the chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And in the game files, interestingly, it's called a Fennec. Fennec? I wasn't sure what Ace was saying in his video, but it sounded like Fennec. But everyone thinks it's a Vector. There was someone holding a Vector in the trailer, so it is extremely likely that it comes out at launch of Season 4. And if not, it's certainly going to come out at some point, maybe in the middle of Season 4. But we're going to be seeing the Vector, which is a sub. In certain Call of Duty games, the Vector was classified as an assault rifle. I don't know which, and it might have only been one, in fact, but sometimes it was classified as an AR. So it's possible that they release it as an AR, but in all likelihood, it will be an SMG category in this game. A couple interesting notes for this game. It does have a colossal suppressor equivalent. So there's only one Colossus or colossal suppressor. I don't know which form of that word they used in this game. And it's for the Odin. It has like a Colossus suppressor. So it's way bigger than the monolithic, and it like greatly increases your recoil control and your damage range. And then of course it gives you that suppression effect with the downside of very slow handling and mobility because it's so thick. Why the fuck would they put this on an SMG? I have no idea. So, what? Okay. Could you see yourself using a Colossus suppressor on a fucking Vector submachine gun in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 Game of the Year Edition, Tanner?
Do you remember what the Colossus suppressor did? What did it do? Damage, range, recoil control, probably.
And I think bullet velocity.
And then the negative is probably ADS speed.
ADS speed, probably aim walking speed, maybe
aim
steadiness, aim walking
So
steadiness.
no, there's no reason to use that on an SMG. Absolutely fucking not.
For me, it depends on what other attachments are available for the Vector. So if I can get really insane like mobility out of this gun, such that I can afford to take the hit to my mobility by adding this suppressor on there, I might actually run it. It just depends how much it slows it down from what it would be slowed down by without it, basically.
Yeah.
So if it handles really fast, I could see myself using it. And it's also going to depend on how much it actually increases my damage range. Because if it increases my damage range by like 5 meters, obviously I'm not using it. But if it can increase it by like 15 meters, then it might be fucking good. And it might be worth using. Especially if it increases bullet velocity, which is the most important gun stat in this game. And that's especially true for Warzone, where people are farther away. So that'll be interesting. I think it's just super weird and like random that they have that attachment as an option on a sub. Like, it's so weird. But that is very strange. It's super weird, but I'm interested to see how it plays. And then there's also going to be the .45 hollow point rounds, And I think this is looking exactly like the Striker's attachment. So this is an ammo attachment for the Striker, 45-point hollow rounds, whatever. It makes it a 12-round magazine that is fired in 2-round bursts that do an insane amount of damage. And I believe the Striker, within a respectable range, is a 2-bullet, in other words, 1 burst kill to the upper chest or the head. So if you aim very well, the Striker with the hollow point, in multiplayer at least, can be worth running. And we saw, Tanner brought this to my attention, a video of the gaming definition when this came out. An absolutely disgusting Call of Duty PC player using this in Ground War on Karst River Quarry, where he was staying inside the buildings such that all of his engagements were relatively close range. And because he's so accurate, he was very reliably one-tapping everyone. And at that point, the fact that the magazine is so small isn't that much of an issue, because each magazine can kill 6 people before you have to reload. So I would never use this myself, but we don't really have confirmation if it's going to be burst fire, and we don't really have confirmation if it's only going to hold 12 rounds. If it holds more than 12 rounds, but it's still a 2-round burst, I still might use it. Or if it only holds 12 rounds, but it can be fully automatic, probably wouldn't use it, but maybe I would. Maybe I would. So we'll see what that is going to look like. But this is less confirmed, because the theory is this might be a placeholder for some other type of ammo attachment. But assuming it is the hollow point rounds that function the same way as the Strikers, any thoughts on that, Tanner?
I'm wondering if it will be kind of like the MP5 has the 30-round 10mm ammunition. I'm wondering if this will have just something like that. It'll have a 45 hollow point, 30-round magazine, which in that case would be super dope.
Yes. That's what
if it's not some tiny burst magazine. Because, obviously, as the gaming definition showed us, that little burst mag can be really good, but also 99.9% of the player base doesn't have aim as good as him. So it's not a good attachment for the majority of the players. And
even if they do, you would never use that in Warzone, because you can't one-tap in Warzone anyway, so it would be dumb. Mm-hmm. But for multiplayer, yeah. I concede your point, though. So let's move on here. We also have the XM109/Rytec AMR, which stands for Anti-Materiel Rifle. I don't know if that's a real gun. New Hampshire Gunslinger can tell us in the chat if it is. I don't think it is. But basically, this is designed to fuck up vehicles. So you shoot, which I think would be fantastic. If it 5 shots tanks, that would be so great. I would be so happy with that. Or 2 shots helicopters. That would be so nice to have for ground war, so that you could fuck up tanks, but you can also snipe people with it. That would be great. And this, however, has fewer files right now in the game. So this is likely not going to come out right when Season 4 launches. It's going to be more like a mid-season release. In the same way that a lot of these DLC guns have been. So a new sniper would be nice. And I think this would fill a unique niche. Tanner, what are your thoughts on this gun?
I looked this up because I wasn't sure what it was. So it's actually made by Barrett. And like you said, it's an
not another
anti.
Barrett.
No.
Not
It's no. It's not. So it's an anti-material rifle, but it fires rounds that are called, what are the rounds? 25 by 59 millimeter. It says it uses 25 by 59 millimeter grenades. The grenades are shaped like bullets, so they are able to bounce.
Whoa.
Because the grenades
and this is
the weapon uses
gun,
are now
right?
available in airburst configurations. The weapon can technically fire around corners and tight spaces. What?
But this is the real life gun.
Supposedly, I don't know if that information's correct. It could be false, but that's what I'm reading online.
That's probably true, but also
It looks like a Barrett 50 cal, just like a shorter, thicker barrel.
it. I wouldn't put too much stock into what it does in real life to determine how it's going to play in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's assume it functions like this, like it's a really heavy-hitting, otherwise relatively normal sniper that does a ton of vehicle damage. How do you feel about that being released to the game?
Everyone has been asking for a sniper rifle, so
Yes.
if they don't put one out this season, they fucked up. They should have already done it. I think it'd be fine. That whole anti-material rifle thing, hey, maybe it'd help us in ground war, dude. What if we could take down an APC or something in like 6 shots?
I know.
You know, that fire relatively quickly.
I agree.
I would possibly run that.
I agree.
Because that ruins
1000%.
ground war.
Yeah.
Vehicles ruin ground war, by the way.
They really fucking do. So yeah, like, I think this is cool. I would also like to see a sniper that is a cross between the AX50 and the HDR. So something that handles a little faster than an HDR, but does a little more damage than an AX50. I think that would be great. But this is even more unique than that would be. So that would be cool as well. So I'm excited to see, no matter what it is, I'm excited to see it because we do need a new sniper for sure. But I mean, like, I remember when the Locust released for Black Ops 4, I loved that gun. And the reason I loved it is because it was a cross between the Koshka and the Paladin. It did more damage than the Koshka, but it was faster firing than the Paladin. It was like the perfect cross between those two, and it was right in the sweet spot for me as far as snipers go. You're not gonna one tap everything like a Paladin, but it also handles way faster, and I'm like willing to take that trade-off, you know?
Yeah, that was such a fun sniper to use. You're right. That was the best sniper in Black Ops 4 for sure. It was so fun to use.
For sure. Yeah. So it would be nice to get something like that again. And it doesn't sound like this is going to be that sniper, but maybe it is. We don't have that much information on it yet. So we'll see what comes of that, but that is going to be probably in the middle of season 4. And then last but not least, the AN-94. This also, if it releases in season 4, it would be in the middle of the season. And in Call of Duties of the past, by the way, I don't know if this is a real gun, and if it is, I don't know if this is how it functions. But in every Call of Duty, this is how it's functioned. The AN-94 will fire its first 2 bullets at a higher fire rate than the rest of the bullets in the automatic rifle stream. So if the RPMs of the 3rd through 90th bullet are 600 RPM, the first 2 bullets fired at 800 RPM. And then after that, it dropped off to 600 or whatever I said. So that is how every AN-94 in the Call of Duty franchise has functioned. In Black Ops 4, it was a DLC gun and it was terrible. In BO3, I think, I didn't play much of that, but in BO3, apparently it was way better than it was in BO4. So that would be another interesting assault rifle in the game. And I think with how fast the time to kill is in Modern Warfare, I think it would be really fucking good, especially if it still has that first 2 bullets fire faster than the rest property. Because if you're accurate with your first shot, you get massively rewarded. And those 2 bullets, blah, blah, super bullet kids. That's a technical term for online shooter players, which is where, because the server is 2 hertz, even though you've received 5 bullets of damage, you don't register it until they've all hit you basically at the same time. They call that a super bullet. So that would be one of the kind of attributes of the AN-94, and it would probably be a 5.56 rifle in this game, just like all of the really dominant assault rifles currently are. Tanner, your thoughts?
I think it would be a fun gun to use. You make a really good point. If it had that first bullet velocity or the quicker higher fire rate at the beginning, I think it'd be really good. It would be extremely fun to use in this game,